Hello, my friend. I hope you've had such a good week or weekend, let's say. It's Tuesday, and what do we do on Tuesday? We have tidbits of tasty Tuesdays. I'm excited about today because I have good news for myself and for you. The last time we spoke, I actually shared with you on a topic, get back your mojo. And I actually am realizing that the best way to carry on from that point is actually to talk about a topic that I know for sure you must be eager to hear about, and that is fear. And specifically, I just don't want to deal with fear, but asking you and asking me, when it comes to fear, the main question is the battle worth taking up? Yes, you're scared. Yes, you're uncomfortable. Yes, you want to run off the stage. You want to run backwards from this situation that is in front of you that you're so uncomfortable with. But the question is it worth pushing forward to conquer the fear, or is it worth walking backwards? Because you see, in both cases, it's completely normal. I know there's quite a number of people who say, face your fears, it's the only way forward. But the question is the battle worth taking up? And in my case, yes, it was worth taking up. And this is one thing I want us to share about. Now, the question is, what fear am I talking about? The things that we are uncertain about, the things we are afraid of, things that we've faced before and we've lost in the battle, and we feel so intimidated, we feel shrunk. I know that people who are coping with diseases or having to live with conditions, there's that fear that goes on within them. I spoke to a friend of mine who had cancer, and she was saying she's afraid of facing every morning. And it's because of such that it has driven me to this point of asking, is the battle worth taking up? Is it worth pushing? Because not every battle is worth taking up, actually. Now, I came across something that says that the best way of overcoming a fear or overcoming your fear is actually to face it. And I agree. But the other part of me understands that the best way to face your fear is actually to arm yourself. You must be wondering, what is she talking about? For example, in the case of my friend who was dealing with cancer, she armed herself, she changed her diet, she changed her lifestyle, and that gave her courage to see a new day. She looked forward to her beetroot smoothies. She looked forward to taking a walk. And if you see her today, you'll be shocked. You'll be wondering, I thought you said you had cancer. Yes, she had. But you see, she armed herself. How do you arm yourself? To face your fear, you need to arm yourself with what? Knowledge. Ever heard of knowledge is power? Yeah, I bet you have. Now, when we say knowledge is power, what are we talking about? It means gathering information and then applying that information, knowing what you're afraid of, knowing what you're uncomfortable with, knowing what scares you into bits, and then arming yourself with that information and applying it. Now, you remember when I talked about get back your mojo? I talked about this thing of we're having in our church 3 weeks ago. We were told, slightly over 3 weeks ago, we agreed that we would have a women's service, the first of its kind. In my church, having a women's service meant that every woman would have to be on stage, every woman would have to have a responsibility. Women who had never been to the stage in front of people would have to stand in front of people, and they would have to sing, and they would have to do one thing or the other. And believe me, that's uncomfortable. Anything that makes you uncomfortable, to a certain level, depending on how long it stays in you, it becomes your fear. How will you face it? How did I face it? If you remember, I actually mentioned that I had said I was going to do spoken word. Do you know how that happened? Actually, when we were planning, I raised up my hand and said, I want to do spoken word. And you know, it was after conquering that thing of telling me Magdalene, shut up, don't even say anything. And then I said, you know what? I've done this before. I did poetry in high school, and I had been in front of so many people. Sometimes I lost, sometimes I won. And when I raised up my hand in front of all these ladies that I go to church with, these are my sisters in Christ, and I can assure you it felt uncomfortable, but I needed to arm myself. I needed to push that fear out. I needed to face my fear by simply opening my mouth and saying, I will do spoken word. Now, the funny thing is that was not the only thing that I was going to do. I had to be singing, and I had a play. And I am no actor, believe you me. I haven't developed that part. I wish I could, and maybe I will pursue that part. Not that I'm afraid of, but I'm looking at what I'm able to take at this moment. Now, after I conquered that bit of raising up my hand and saying that I needed to do spoken word, now I was indebted to the entire group to present. So I armed myself. Now, second level of arming myself was to sit down and write the spoken word. And the best way for me as a woman to actually have spoken word, the best thing I could write about, much had been, we had been focusing on women. So the first thing I did was to look at my family, and I decided I would write something about my family. I as a woman, and how I feel about my family. Now, I didn't want to say how bad I'm treated, because I'm not treated badly. Actually, I'm very much loved. I'm very much loved, and I'm proud of that, and I really thank God for that. So what happened is I sat down and looked at the tiny little bits of the way I say I love you to my family. I probably don't say it so many times by word, but this is one thing that I needed to say. I needed to put things in a way, write down things, you know, a whole number of words that would actually bring out my way of saying I love you as a mom, as a woman, as a friend. And I wrote this 4-page spoken word, and every time I looked at it, I could ask Magdalene, what did you get yourself into? I mean, are you that silly? You cannot stand in front of people, and these people have never seen you stand in front of them in form of, you know, while presenting spoken word. So it was scary. But day by day, I realized that I needed to conquer this fear. I needed to do something. So every time I thought of going back to look at this script, the 4-page script, I would tell myself, this is a new audience, yes, but these are my friends. So I actually did the next thing, other than just preparing the spoken word. The next thing, the second week after writing the spoken word, the first week, the second week, I started memorizing it. And believe me, the week went so fast. So I started getting scared. I was afraid that I might stand in front of everybody and make a mess of myself with words. But that did not stop me. I decided to arm myself even further. And in this case, I armed myself with the very thing that would disable the fear. I decided to pray. I know you probably you're not one of us who pray, but I am. So I actually went ahead and prayed, and I said, God, I need to stand in front of a congregation. I need to be able to say this. And it's not for me like I did in high school. This time I want to say it for them. I want to do it for you. I want to stand there, and the message will go into the ears of those people who will be listening, and they will embrace it and they will understand. And my topic in this case of a spoken word that I wrote was 40 apologies of love because I'm a woman. And funny enough, someone in the congregation went ahead and recorded it. I know they didn't take it from the beginning. They missed maybe the first 1 minute, but the whole 7 minutes, I did a 7-minute. Believe you me, after, you know, it was an interesting day, because I went first and did a play, and then went backstage, went and refreshed, and then I had to come in after two presentations, and I had to come in and do spoken word. And believe me, it was a sweaty experience. But I kept saying, God, you need to give me this. Please, let me get to the front there. I have done my bit. I have memorized. Because in the morning, the early morning, I had actually gone to my terrace and actually practiced. I had said this spoken word around 6 times. Then on my way to church, I had said it for another time. I got to church and I tried saying it, but the last moment, it wasn't working. Funny enough, when I got to the stage, I said one simple thing, and I said, God, help me bring fear down to its knees. And you see, when you know what actually brings you down, what makes you scared, then you're able to actually conquer it. I realized at that moment that actually why I had failed before is because I was doing it for me. I did it for my glory. But now in this case, I realized that I wanted to do it for them, for the audience. I want them to understand how a woman loves a family. And I will share with you that. I know it's not very still, because the person who was doing it was holding the camera with their bare hands, so that meant that their hands were shaking a bit. But I'm so grateful to this brother who actually took time to record it, and I'm going to be sharing this. So you're asking, was it worth doing? Is the battle worth taking up? In my case, yes, it was worth taking up. Every bit of it Why? Because I realized that I needed to reclaim my talent in spoken word. I needed to reclaim my ability to stand in front of people and pass the message, and pass a meaningful message. So I'm going to share with you the 7+ minutes of what I presented. And I'll let you be the judge. I would really, really appreciate if you actually take your time to actually listen and judge it yourself. I'm doing this after so many years of not being on stage with poetry, spoken word stuff. I haven't been doing that. And so I'm talking of, when I say many, many years, I'm talking of like over 10 years. Way up, in fact, maybe 20 years. Maybe 20 years, yeah. Because I've been off high school over 20 years. So you can imagine, for me, this was a battle worth taking. This was a battle worth doing. This was information worth gathering so as I could face my fear and say, you know what? I'm going to stand there and I'm going to pass that message, not so that they clap for me, but that they get the message. That they may know how their mothers, that they may know how their sisters, that they may know how their wives feel and why they do things the way they do. Why, as a woman, I might yell when I didn't really mean to yell. I just meant to say I love you in a very different way. It was an apology. You will listen to it and you will be the judge. I would really appreciate for you to actually listen all the way to the end and actually take time to comment right below. Why? Because you will understand that when you actually take up a battle that is worth taking up, then fear becomes nothing. You disable it. Because now you have a bigger purpose. You've gathered the information. I failed in the past because of A, B, C, D. I'm not able to walk in the dark because I didn't have enough light to flash, and therefore the darkness would have to raise up its hands and say, whoa, wait, I cannot face this because light has come. The question is, what are you afraid of? What's your fear? And how are you going to gather that information so that you can use that information against the fear? You're going to blackmail the fear and tell fear, look, when I came up here because I knew what I was doing, and I'm not going to let you win this battle. Now, for now, I'll let you listen to 40 apologies of love because I'm a woman. And until next time, it's bye for tidbits of Tasty Tuesdays. Thank you.
Don't say that I don't love this man. A new helmet already? What happened to the last one? Apology number 2. Sorry, son, but I already spent the last of the change that I held back when your father sent me shopping. I wish I could do more. But as you said, that's all Mama does. Wish. Apology number 3. Dear pet in the kitchen, I've got a family of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I supposed to count you 2? Shall I pour a little milk for you and my son who brought you in without contributing to the kitchen budget? Don't say that I don't love you. But you dirty paws and far on the kitchen table, that's nothing to pout about. But I got to apologize. Because I don't love you as I should, so I'm to. Apology number 4. Number 5. After church, I stayed back chatting with Mama Mike instead of rushing home to prepare yet another meal. I forgot that tea and biscuits aren't enough for an empty belly. So I got home and I met the whole family's glare shot at my sweaty face. I should have thought, but then I didn't. My mind be like, Mother, mine will Jesus and the guests will eat. Don't say that I don't love you, husband. But why do you say nothing when something occupies your gaze all morning, noon, and night? Let me place this right. Apology number 6. Sorry, I must ask. What are you thinking about? Nosy? Not at all. Rosie? Not until the last baby knocked off. Noisy? More often than not. Don't say that I don't love you, but nothing ain't an answer. Tell me, my master, is it possible to have a blank in your mind? Number 7. Honey dear, I'm sorry I don't match up the girl in Proverbs 31:28, but perfectly fit the one in 29. wonder where King Lemon's mother got this one from. Man, she's so fine. Number 8. I'm sorry I caught a flu, and now the whole house just went blue. With this heat and ice cold water, I should have thought that when I catch the doodoo, you know, follow suit. I'm sorry. But when you sneeze, my nose jiggles. When the kids shiver, I tend to quiver. Sandy's stomachache makes mine ache too. And Papa, your wallet, when it's empty, it makes me feel terribly inadequate. But my words be humble and gentle that peace may prevail. Please, don't say that I don't love you, because you know and I know that I feel your pain. It is that prayer that I said to God when baby girl was little. Because I couldn't understand why she cried so high. So I told God not to disconnect the spiritual God, the bond, when she had to transfer the pain into my body like heat through the metal rod. And I, being a new mama, would understand where the pain stands. Medicate, because I would have been sure and not guessing. Lest I forget, He granted me to feel your pain, each one of you, because I have enough tears to shed for each one of your exaltation. When you fall, your degradation. When you rise, your celebration. When you lack, your reputation. When you shun, your discrimination. And when you are accepted, your glorification. Maybe you still don't understand when I say, don't say that I don't love you. In 26 ways, hideous to you, but so true to me. A, always worried about you. B, bickering about the way baby girl leaves her room. C, calling husband to ask, hey, are you alright? D, dozing on the couch while waiting for the kids to finish homework. E, endless pacing from the kitchen to the sitting room, waiting for the guests to arrive. Naona kama nimefika maili 46 Kajiado County, huh? F, the flowing dresses I wear to please my mother-in-law. G, greetings each member of my family by name. Also, it's not allowed. Or H, only because my son just called a goal. I don't think you really understand when I say, don't say that I don't love you. J, jokes that are unlovable. I got no funny bone inside. K, kicking the pet who tried to steal your sandwich. Sorry, pet, but my species come fast. L, look, I got your attention. Look. M, moving my great-grandfather, even though I never knew him. N, nosy about Happy's day at work. O, only if you let me in, will I stop interfering? P, penning the I love you note and sticking them in your pocket. Q, quickly taking off a speckle on your cheek with a saliva toast finger. R, forgive me, roasted chapati. They actually were meant to be fried, soft and tender. S, salty cup in your tea. I'm sorry, I cried too much this morning while preparing breakfast. Tears must have gone into the pot. T, tracing the logs to see who the kids have been calling. U, unfortunately, I don't think that's nosy. That's Rosie Carey. V, very excited. My son just turned 16. He's a man. W, wouldn't see. He's gonna make a stupid mistake. X, ex-friends are going to be laughing at him. Why? Yell at him when I should be consoling him. Z, zip my mouth all afternoon. Because everybody is mad at me. Look, lamenting is not my strength. God gave Brother Jeremiah that bit. But unto me, he gave 34 and counting ways to say, I'm sorry for the way I love you. I'm sorry, I love you despite the ugly way I showed. I'm sorry, I'm not on top of things like that cute newscaster on Nation TV. I'm sorry, I'm not able to balance the rush up the corporate ladder and duties at home. I'm sorry. When I show my strength, I'm called stubborn. I'm sorry. When I show my weakness, I'm called a sissy. I'm sorry. When I show neither, then I'm told I must know. Don't say that I don't love you. Because I've just told you 40 ways in which I do. I know I'm going to sing some more. So copy, paste. You're still a woman.